All right, so I'm here with Joe. So I met Joe, I think 2 or 3 months ago in the Founders Running Club in Berlin, and we do it regularly, almost every Saturday, I would say. And I had many nice discussions and conversations with Joe, and I think he's someone very interesting. He has a bootstrapped business. So that's why I invited Joe to have this one-to-one podcast conversation with me. So maybe we can start by Joe. Maybe can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure, sure. Yeah, so my name is Joe. I'm originally from Ireland. I've been in Berlin a few years now. And yeah, I'm currently CTO of my own startup, which is called ScrapeOps. And we help companies with everything to do with web scraping online. So we offer several different services, which we sell as a SaaS subscription. And that is a range of different things from monitoring to different bypass solutions when you're getting blocked when trying to scrape different sites. Yeah, and been doing that now for about 4 years. And yeah, we're doing about 1.2 million a year in revenue. So yeah, it was from zero to 1.2 million.
Oh yeah, it's impressive. And 4 years, so you started before ChatGPT came out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So things have been so yeah, our first we well my the kind of the founding story is my co-founder Ian used to work in the same industry, so he was doing a lot of marketing. He was the CMO for another similar company in this space that was selling these kind of scraping solutions, and it was also a SaaS company. And his previous company that he worked for sold for I think it was something like 7 or 8 million. And I was freelancing at the time, and we were talking one day, and he said, "Hey, I think there's still space in this industry to do a kind of a middleman kind of layer of finding the best scraping solutions, and then we kind of are the ones who find the best solutions out there, and then we can recommend for people to use certain solutions so that they don't have to go and research all these different solutions themselves." So yeah, so then he quit his job, and 2 weeks later we started with just an idea, and yeah, it grew from there.
So you at the time you were doing freelancing and you also quit
Yeah.
freelancing?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it just went all in. We both had savings, so it was just a case of okay, use our savings, live cheaply, and yeah,
Mm.
just kind of work on getting revenue started. And we did have to pivot a bit. Like at the start, we were offering a lot more monitoring and analytics tools. And we got a good few users, but we found out that the users didn't want to pay for the product. So we had to
Mm.
kind of we still are doing a lot of these dashboards and analytics and monitoring for everything to do with scraping, but we're offering it more as a free tool to get users to discover our other paid services. So yeah, so that was kind of a we had to kind of I guess pivot, 12 months in and say, okay, this isn't really generating income. How can we've got users, there's some interest, but like we need to change something to actually make this make money.
Oh, and it takes lots of courage to like quit your freelancing and for your co-founder to quit his job and just jump straight into this.
Mm.
How long did it take you to get the first paying customer, like to get to some revenue?
Well, probably around 12 months.
12 months.
Well, it kind of depended. We were making a small bit of affiliate revenue maybe 6 months in. We kind of didn't release a product for maybe 3 months or 4 months. We should have done that earlier. And then after that, we were just trying to lots of kind of different ways of getting users. So luckily, yeah, I was doing more of the tech stuff, and Ian, being the marketing guy in a previous startup, kind of focused on marketing and sales, and he was doing a lot of writing content. So because
Mm.
of a lot of our content is kind of developer focused, because a lot of our stuff would be targeted towards developers. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of how we got our first customers, is people finding us through articles that we'd written. We also, yeah, we did have one or two articles that Ian had written that we posted on Hacker News that did very, very
Mm-hmm.
well. So then they were
Mm-hmm.
on the homepage of Hacker News for, a day, and then suddenly you've got, hundreds of signups in a day. And yeah, but we also, a good thing that we did was we had a few kind of beta alpha testers, which we had reached out to people on LinkedIn and before. As we were building the product, it wasn't launched yet, but we still had some customers who were using the product like from 2 weeks in. Like the most
Mm.
early version that we could give them, and they were happy to have some calls with us. And we said, look, we'll give you this for free, but we want feedback from you,
Mm.
once a month or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so you started with like free plans. So people started
Yeah.
using it for free because you wanted feedback, you wanted to see if it would be useful for people, let's say.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And good. That's, I think that shows a lot also that I see a lot of people, they start something and they think that they will see results or like revenue
Mm,
immediately in the first, second month. And this is something that I also experienced. That is, it takes sometimes it takes like months
mm,
for you to start to get some revenue, right? And
yeah.
I think that's why it's so important, to have savings, especially because you didn't take the VC route, so you
Mm.
went the bootstrapped route. Maybe, I don't know, could you just tell me a little bit about why did you go to this route, or did you ever consider like VC?
Yeah. Well, we didn't really consider any VC route. I mean, yeah, I guess our our vision for it wasn't like $100 billion company.
Mm,
It was more like, okay, if we can make a few million a year, we'll be very happy. And we know, having talked to previous people in this kind of industry, that okay, if we get to this much revenue, we can sell for whatever amount more.
yeah.
And I guess, yeah, the VC route, I mean, we did apply for an accelerator program, which was 100,000 um, euros. This was maybe 1 year in, when we were starting to run low on cash and things were getting tight. So we said, okay, let's apply. And we got into the top eight. Like we got through the first or second round of interviews and stuff. And we had to do a pitch, but I think they only picked five. So we
Mm,
didn't make it, but it's made things easier. Now if we want to sell, it's much easier, and we still own all the equity, just the two of us. So that's the good side. Yeah, I mean, I think we were open to it, but also, yeah, you need to find like people who understand your industry, who understand the vision you have for the company. And yeah, I guess once we got that switch of, okay, we can pay ourselves a small salary, which was about 18 months in, then it wasn't a big deal, right? Then we were like, okay, now at
yeah.
least we've got money, we can pay the rent, we can pay for food, we're just using our savings, and it became much easier. And then we could look at, okay, okay, let's make our first hire, and then let's go from
Mm.
there.
So
Yeah.
it took you 18 months for you to have like a livable salary, a
Yeah.
salary
Yeah.
where both of you could live.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
hmm And you were two co-founders. It's you
Hmm.
and this other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and now you have a team.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're seven, no, six. We were seven until a month ago. Now we're six again.
Okay,
So
six
we're
total.
we're a small, six total. So that's it's pretty much probably 60%. Yeah, two-thirds developers, one-third marketing and
Mm,
sales and customer support. Well, also two of our guys who are developers also do technical customer support, because of a lot of what we're doing is very much developer focused. We tried to have a kind of a non-technical guy before, but it just didn't really work out. If
mm,
you want your customers to trust you and to be able to, they want to understand that you understand what their problems are. So
yeah,
yeah, we have that too.
yeah. Talking about your customers, I know that for years, so on. on this time, like a lot has changed in the go-to market, marketing and sales. So in the past, what did work for you? Like, how did you
Mm,
get, like, let's say, most of your customers? What was your main channel of acquisition? And then
mm,
if you could just connect it to today, like, are you still using that? How do you see the B2B, like, let's say, SaaS as a market this year? Let's try
mm.
to focus this year, because of course it's gonna change a lot. But if you could just connect like what worked for you before, and is it still working today, or
Sure.
is it not?
hmm
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so the first kind of 2 years, what worked really well was, yeah, just inbound traffic from just good articles, good content that was written,
SEO.
and then SEO. Yeah, so it was really 95% SEO and good
Mm.
content, and we did experiment with some videos. We've got almost 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. We did maybe 20, 25 videos. So that worked to a degree as well. We published a course on Free Code Camp. So we did
Mm.
like a
Interesting.
4 or 5 hour long course, which got, I don't know, maybe 500,000, 700,000
Wow.
subscribers. So yeah, so we kind of experimented with different things. So worked quite well, and people trust you a lot when they see video. The articles worked well, but over the last 2 years since ChatGPT is released, we really see like
Mm.
we're down, I think 80%
Mm.
from where we were at the high two years ago. So yeah, the last 2 years have been okay. How can we find new ways to, I suppose, get customers? How can we get the new LLMs to trust us, to see us as a source of good content? And it was very interesting because over the last 2 years, we could see, I mean, 2 years ago, we had maybe 6 or 7 freelance writers writing for us. We had,
Mm.
a guy managing the team of freelance writers.
Wow.
But then as all the LLMs came out, we saw the quality of what people were writing dropping because they
Mm.
were starting to
Of
use
course.
LLMs.
They
And
probably
and
got like they saw that now they could write 10x more if they used
yeah,
ChatGPT. So
yeah.
they started quality started going down, probably because they started taking more jobs, right?
Exactly, exactly. And everyone else, all the other competitors that we have, they could suddenly churn out all the same content, right? They could just get write a good prompt, and then
Hmm.
they would have 90% of the same content. Just having content wasn't really enough anymore. And now what we're really focusing on in the last 6 months is, okay, how can we do stuff that other people, that LLMs can't reproduce? So a lot of that would be like testing different theories, different ideas, like what is the cheapest way to get data from this source? What is the fastest way to get data from this source? Like, because right now in the market, we see in the scraping market, there's all these different suppliers, there's all these different
Hmm.
solutions. And if you are a company looking to get into this, you don't know where you should start. You don't know what the
Mm.
costs are. You don't know, like, and there's too much choice, right? And everyone
Yeah.
says they're the best. So what we're trying to focus on now is having reliable tests where we can show, like, every week we're ranking everyone against each other. We're testing all these solutions,
Mm.
and we're trying to use this as our moat that can't be
Mm.
just easily replicated. Like before, we had good writers and we had good videos. Now we have good kind of opinions, good
Mm.
tests that's what we're kind of trying to use now to stay ahead. But it's just changing so fast that you don't know, is this going to be enough in 6 months or 12 months? Yeah, so it's been super interesting to see how things have changed, and yeah, just how SEO is basically just, I think it still matters to a degree, because if you do well on Google, you will do well in other LLMs. But
Mm.
now the question is, like, just generic content doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Before, generic content would always work to some degree, but it just doesn't anymore. You have to be like, how can you be better than average? How can you be, stand out?
Mm. Where are you publishing these? Are you still publishing on your website?
Yeah, yeah. So it's been mostly on our website. We were also cross-publishing to some other platforms like dev.to.
Mm.
Some now on LinkedIn. We're starting to use LinkedIn
Mm.
more to kind of position ourselves as experts in the space. So yeah, LinkedIn has been pretty good for that, to drive some traffic and to get our name out there more. But it still is more of a, yeah, I guess, a longer sales cycle with things like LinkedIn. Whereas with if someone is directly typing into Google or
Yeah.
asking an LLM, how do I get data from Amazon? And we're number one.
Mm,
There's a very high intention right there. They want a solution. And if you can give
mm,
them a solution within 2 minutes, then they're going to go with you. Whereas LinkedIn, it's more of a long game. You're, building trust over time and hoping then that that certain developers will try you, or a CTO might spot the content and then say, "Hey,
mhm.
we should try these guys out." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've been hearing from different people that LinkedIn is really good for authority, yeah,
Mm,
for content. I started recently putting out some content on LinkedIn as well. I think it's gonna be more and more important because since so many people are launching now, it's kind of very easy to build stuff. I think that people will connect more with other people than with
mm.
brands. So if they see your face and kind of align themselves with your mission and why are you doing it and how are you doing it, yeah, I think it helps a lot. Have you tried this SEO for AI
Yeah,
optimization? How we call it, AEO, GEO, these
yeah,
AI search optimizations?
yeah.
I
We
don't
we tried
remember.
one or two tools recently, where you could kind of search for certain search terms and see how you ranked within. But yeah, we didn't kind of continue them. I know a lot of them were quite expensive, and then we hadn't really seen the results that we were looking for.
Mm,
So we tried some, and we stopped using them again. But another good thing that did work out at the start and over the first year or two, which still works in certain industries, would be Reddit, using
Reddit. Mm,
engaging with Reddit communities and giving helpful
mm.
solutions.
It's
Yeah, and
incredible now.
doing.
Google, whatever you ask, like the first positions, like the
Mm,
first, uh, I don't know, 3 to 5 things that it shows. It's usually Reddit. Like it's
mm,
insane
yeah,
how it is. Yeah.
yeah. But we've seen that. Yeah, the issue now though became a lot of the, because the more people who start to try and self promote
Yeah.
in Reddit, then Reddit starts to become hostile to that, and different communities start to
Hmm.
completely, shut down anything. Like, even if you give someone help now in a lot of the web scraping communities, or the programming communities, even if you give someone help and you indirectly say, oh, you could try this product, not even a salesy way, or just name
Just a
dropping,
small
they will,
hook, like a
a
small, yeah.
tiny thing, they will just ban, like, straight away.
Oh.
They'll just kick you out. So that it worked for maybe a year. We had a guy who would constantly, you know, um, help people on Reddit. And if we had, because we were also using it as well for, we had this tool called, I think it was F5 or something. It was a keyword kind of research tool. So you put in that you want to get an alert when certain topics are mentioned, and then it would
Yeah.
it would search Reddit and a few other communities, and it would, you would get an email alert anytime
Hmm.
someone mentions a
Hmm.
certain keyword. So then we were
Yes,
able
so
to,
some
like,
of these
say, okay,
tools.
yeah. So that was really useful as well, especially at the start. You're trying to get anyone to try your product, and any kind of feedback. So that was really, really good. Yeah.
Would you say that comparing now to when you started, what would I say? Is it more difficult now or back then to get sales, to scale?
Um, I think it's difficult in different ways. Like, now we have content is easy to create for the most part. I mean,
Hmm.
video still costs a lot and takes time, but textual content is no longer hard to do. Whereas back 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you had to manually type everything
Hmm.
pretty much. You mean you could outsource it, but you were still going to pay writers a few $100s for a good article. Um, so now the issue is no longer content; it's now, how do you stand out in a sea of content? Whereas before it was like, how do you stand out at all? So I think the issue has just changed. I don't know, Is it harder? I think the hard part about today is that it's changing so fast that if you find something which works today, you can't be guaranteed that in 12 months it's still going to work. You have to
Yeah.
really be following on top of the trends now. You can't, whereas, 3, 4 years ago, things were moving so much slower that you could
Yeah.
just, you could set up a system and be guaranteed that in 12 months it's still going to be producing results. And the
Hmm.
hard thing about SEO and these kind of things is that they can take 6 months to produce results.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is, and even with LinkedIn and things like that, it is, you are building trust, you are trying to get Google to trust you, you're trying to get people to trust you, and that takes time. So just because that's why I find, I mean, I'm a programmer and the CTO. For me, like, I code something, I see a result, I can test it,
Hmm.
straight away. You have this like very tight feedback loop. But for marketing, it's much more like you try something, you can put it out there. The results can be very random as well. One piece of content can just go viral.
Hmm.
Something can just do really well on LinkedIn or on Hacker News or on whatever site. There's so much, random variables out there. I mean, some people, of course, are very good at that. They know exactly how many, hooks and things to put in to up the chances. But no one can ever say that this is going to work 100%, right? Like,
Yeah.
you hire a marketing agency, they can't, they'll try, but th- there's very few marketing agencies that say we'll take a percentage of revenue and or we'll take a percentage of profit, and we won't ask for like 5,000 a month, for all your marketing. So yeah, I think the to go back to your question, I think it's maybe harder in some ways, easier in other ways, and it's still, it's going to be, yeah, it's just hard in different ways, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And if there is anyone who runs a marketing agency right now, so I guess that's a good tip. Maybe, reach out to B2B owners and offer them to, earn on a commission based. That could be good, because then if you provide value, you get value, right? Because I know that some marketing agencies, they can charge 3K, 5K, and you don't know if it's gonna work. So imagine, I had this in the past, by the way, like
Mm,
paying like 1 or 2 months and nothing, no new signups, but then you spent like, you know
yeah.
put money on this. Um, Okay, talking a little bit about the technical part, because you are the CTO and
Mhm.
your co-founder, he does more of these marketing and sales. Um, well, technically changed a lot, of course, in the past few years. And it changes every like 3 or 6 months whenever a new model comes out. Now we have like Cloud Code, Opus 4.6, and we have Codex 5.3. We have Cursor, we have Anti-Gravity. You told me that you are using your tool of choice is Cursor. So,
Yep.
but when you started, you didn't use any AI to build this, like you built it
No.
yourself.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
it's changed so much as well in 4 years. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is right now for you? How what is your how do you do this? Like, do you still do some manual code? Do you just review it? Do you what is your creating process? How does it work like?
Yeah. So everyone on our team uses, Cursor or Claude or some sort of LLM. I would say now, personally, I would use mostly like the autocomplete, and just chatting to Cursor for most of the stuff. Debugging, I still find it myself manually debugging a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think our biggest thing now is, okay, how do we as a team set up structures so that we're all, um, all kind of working to keep the code quality high, is the challenge. So yeah, the challenge is good code quality, good testing. Can we still deploy quickly to production? Um, and just kind of, I mean, momentum and deploying to production was always a thing for years and years. And you have more an advantage if you're a team that can move quickly and release new features and fix bugs. I think the biggest challenge really is, with all this AI generated code is to how do you maintain good
Mm,
code quality and not let
mm-hmm,
the quality drop and not let the technical debt creep up. And it definitely over the last 6 months, we had a lot of issues where we're now deploying code where sometimes you're not 100% sure how it's
mm-hmm.
working, right? And then we were dealing with, hundreds of thousands of requests a minute.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and yeah, and at scale, like things work fine locally, and our developers are like, oh yeah, it's working great locally. They push something to
Mm,
production, and then how it works on production where there's that level of scale, that's where we're finding the biggest issues. Is like something works fine locally, you throw some tests at it, it passes, and then you deploy to production, and just that is not something that the code generating tools are very good at thinking about, unless you say like keep in mind this will be deployed to production where we have this amount of requests per second or per minute and this many users. It doesn't, the base default code that gets generated is usually very simple stuff that works locally, right? It's not, they're not thinking about scaling. So this has been a challenge of, okay, how do we as a team, and this is, we're in the middle of implementing this, of like having the same, um, you know, Claude skills or cursor MD files where we're having the same rules so that we're developing locally, but the same consistency will be across all our code. And then when we deploy
mm,
it, that it won't break everything, because this has been a challenge. And people, it does look great when you're ticking off all these features and it's great,
mm-hmm,
but then if that's going to end up with a load of technical debt that slows
mm-hmm.
you down in 6 months overall, then it's not very good, right? So I think it's great, but there's also a lot of new challenges that we have to take into account. Yeah.
Did you ever lose a client because of technical debt or something that went into production but caused some bug or some problem?
Luckily, not really so far.
But
We've had, I mean, most of the time, people do give us a few like chances to fix
mm-hmm,
something and to get it fixed. So far it's been pretty good, and I would say our reliability is much better now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. We've had
mm,
no major downtime, and we are an API. We offer an API as a service, so we have to keep that like very high
mm-hmm.
uptime. But thankfully, it's been pretty good recently. Yeah.
So it's more in the sense of maybe taking longer to some feature taking longer than if you did it like by hand without AI. It's more sometimes an issue with that, like the time you spend maybe fixing something, even if it's not that serious, but something related to quality, and you end up like spending more time than you would
Mm.
originally if you wrote the code.
Yeah, definitely. So we definitely see that. I mean, we've integrated some good other tools like code review tools, which have been we've had one of them now, Code Rabbit, for about 6 months,
Mm,
and it's been really, really good. I think we're paying something like $20 per seat, but paying whatever $100 a month is nothing when it reviews all the code. It catches about 70-80% of the bugs. Um, and it's getting better every month. So this was definitely one of the best things I've seen come out of the kind of LLM AI landscape. And it's more
mm-hmm,
balancing the situation, so that if you have all these
mm,
LLMs creating all this code, you also need a good review system and a good
yeah.
counterbalance to that. So that's been really good. I've really enjoyed using the tool, and I would recommend anyone who's, especially on a team level, like when you're by yourself, most of the code in your own head and you have an idea. But even by yourself now, if you're using LLMs a lot, you might not understand everything it's doing, and having something like CodeRabbit can really catch a lot of the issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good recommendation. Um, so now since it's, you know, so much faster to build new things and, put out new features, how do you decide what to build? Like, okay, you start the week Monday. I don't know if you work with sprints or not, but how do you decide what you're gonna build today, what you're gonna build this week, what you're gonna build
Mm.
the next 2 weeks? How do you prioritize?
Question. Yeah, I guess we listen to our customers a lot. So just seeing what our customers ask for. We tend not to just do whatever any one customer asks, but if
Hmm.
3 or 4 people ask for the same thing, then it might be something that we plan on a roadmap and sit down and look at.
Do
So
you
that'd
have
be one way. Yeah.
one of these platforms where they can like send out feature requests
I
and
want
then
to.
prioritize?
That's on our
Ah,
backlog to add in. Yeah, I really like this idea. And I want to, yeah, I want to set it up at some point. I think it's really good. I mean, some of the other stuff is being as well, just seeing how the whole landscape is, what the top people in the industry are doing, where it's going. Because we're sitting more as a middleman, we're trying to more integrate in with all these other players. So there's a lot of integrations that we're doing. Over the last year, it's been like, okay, N8N is really big. A year ago, we
mm-hmm.
make an integration for that. We make an MCP server because
Mm,
we want, all the tools to be able to use our services. So it's been okay seeing where programming is going as a whole and the market is going, and then kind of working from that. But I mean, some of the stuff we've tried, like we've in beta now a tool which can auto generate code.
mm-hmm.
You give it a few URLs from a site that you want the data from, and it will code all the code that you need. And then all you have to do is run the code, and it will extract all the data from the site. But we started this project like 9 months ago, and 9 months ago, the LLMs were a lot worse than they are now.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah.
was a
A
lot more
lot worse.
expensive.
Yeah.
So, we've got this product now, which it's in beta. We've got some people using it. But by the time enough people are using it, might also be, that it's just as easy to just use Cursor and just keep talking to it than use our tool, because things have gone so fast in one year. Yeah, that's scary to think that, yeah, you almost have to release things within 2 or 3 months. Like I think we took maybe a bit too long on this one to release and test things. But again, you learn these lessons as you go. So yeah.
Interesting, interesting. One controversial question, I think a lot of people, they are, worried that they will lose their jobs because of
Yep.
AI. Um, did you some other people, they're actively marketing like their companies as, fire your
Mm.
photographer, fire your architect, fire your software engineer. Um, did you decrease the team's size with AI? Did you do any change in your team with AI? Or if you can talk a little bit about
That's a
that?
good question. I don't think we probably would have hired more people, yeah, if we didn't have so much AI integrations in the last year, for sure. But I don't think we really let people go because of AI, but I think we hired less because of AI for sure.
Interesting.
But it's also just been so helpful, in like the amount of integrations we could do with, for example, our help desk software. We plug that in, we get an LLM to review the tickets as they come in. They can give summaries of what the guys can reply back. There's just so many ways of cutting down the time it takes. We've used LLMs a lot as well for when we had a lot of issues with people signing up for free accounts, and we offer some small amount of services for free if you sign up, but then suddenly you get 10,000 signups a day. They're all just trying to use the free versions of your tools, and we had a big problem with this. So what we now do is the LLMs will basically look at a user signing up and determine, based on like their email, their name, things like that, like
Mm,
what, like they'll give a score of like 1 out of 10.
interesting.
How likely is it that this person is an automated account or a real human?
Oh,
And
wow,
then
nice.
yeah. And based on this, because we were kind of doing this before by ourselves. We
Ah,
have a
manually.
Slack alert manually. We have a Slack alert whenever someone signs up and creates an account. We would, you could quickly see if someone is auto generating names and email addresses. It starts to look fake, right? It's not. A lot of these guys aren't very sophisticated, but so the LLM was able to then give a score, and then we were saying, okay, if the score is a high chance that this is auto-generated account, then we will make them verify with a phone number. And
Mm-hmm.
just send a text message and verify with a phone number. So this was, it's really helped for things like this, where before that would have been a much more complex fix. Or you could program some of the things in there, like look for these kind of email addresses and discount things that start with numbers or whatever. But now with LLMs, it makes tasks like that so much easier, and we can really, and it's really saved a lot of time and money, and yeah. So that would be just one example, but we've integrated it into a lot of different areas. Yeah,
But would you say that now when if you hire people who, let's say, are super good with AI, like they know how to use it the best way, the best possible way, you'd say that's like a good advantage. Like you would
for
hire
sure.
someone like this, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah. I think now you need to. I think now
Mhm.
developers especially, but if you have this skill and you're not a developer, it's almost better, because if you're in marketing, SEO, design, any other space, if you can use AI well, you're probably ahead of most of
Mhm.
your peers, right? Developers are all kind of using it already, but the better you know how to use it, the more you can push the standards in your organization, in your startup, in your team, the better. The more value you bring to the team, right? So like,
Mhm.
and we try and have like quarterly retrospectives as a dev team, where anyone has new ideas, or has anyone seen like this using Code Rabbit that came out of 6 months ago when we did a dev retro, and one of the guys said like, oh, I saw this tool, like we should,
Mm.
how about using an AI tool to just check our PRs, because we were all manually doing the PR reviewing, but it's a slow process. It's not as a developer, no one's like, oh yeah, I want to review other people's code all day, right? Developers want to write code. So this was something that came up, and we were able to integrate it and test it. So
Mm.
I think the more you know about these new tools and skills, the better. And the more that you know the pros and the cons, because it's not like it's only good. There's also a lot of downsides, and if this code is breaking or giving more bugs, or it's impossible to maintain, and in or if security wise, like, is it always going to be secure? Is it making you more open to being hacked? Like
Mhm.
all these things, right? It's great, but there's also things that you have to keep in mind at the back of your head. And if yeah, and we've seen this as well. Yeah, across our team, just you have to have all these things at the back of your head and always be staying on top of it. Yeah.
All right. All right. You mentioned that you pivoted pivot pivoted
Hmm.
in your first 12 months. How do you see your company for the next like 12 to 24 months? Like, are you doubling down on what you're already doing and doing more of it? Are you thinking about pivoting a little bit or again? How does the landscape looks for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think probably more of the same. Like the initial question and thing we're trying to solve, of bringing transparency to the web scraping market, is still an issue that isn't going away, and AI isn't really solving, isn't able to test all these different platforms and solutions and able to give the user like straight away an answer. This is something that someone has to do manually. Someone has to set up all these tests. Someone has to have an opinion on these. And I don't see that going away. And I don't see like these different, services are still going to be there in 12 months and 24 months. But definitely how we market things, how we position ourselves, that is going to be, if anything, I see more people needing data, right? Data is,
Yes.
there's more products now that people can create products in a day. They need more data. So if anything, there's going to be more demand, but that also means there's going to be more competition. There's going to be more people entering the space. So I think, the challenge for the next 12 to 24 months is, marketing, differentiating ourselves, being, getting out there and making our brand name top of mind when people think of scraping services. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good. Um, what type of advice would you give for people who are starting? Let's say, especially the ones who are thinking about bootstrapping, because again, 1.2 million ARR, like it's impressive. It's a very difficult milestone to achieve, especially like bootstrapping. So w- what advice would
Mm,
you give to people who are like watching
yeah.
this and thinking, I want to start something and I want to go the bootstrapped way?
Hmm. I think I think the number one thing would be just create something as quickly as possible, get someone to use it as quickly as possible, and ask for money as quickly as possible. If you can do
Mm,
those like three things, you know that like I would say definitely for this company, we waited too long to launch. We
mm,
waited whatever 3-4 months. We could have launched something within
mm,
1 month, especially that we were working full time. And I think the good thing is that we did have people using it almost 2 weeks in once we started, like from the very start. That was good. And then we were charging. I mean, we had this freemium version, but that at least enabled us to see, okay, when people start paying for us for the service, we know it's working. And when people weren't paying for our initial services, we were like, okay, this isn't really working. So it really tells you as soon as people start paying for something, um and I think, yeah, too many people, like, they almost look for permission, or they want, like,
mm,
to be told they it's okay to start something. But just start something. Now there's less barriers than ever. You can start something and get users in a weekend. Like, if you just, like, before there was more barriers, you might have to learn to code, you might have to learn to do something. Now you really have, it becomes more of a personal thing. Like, something is holding you back, you don't think you're good enough, you don't think you deserve to be able to, you don't know enough about the space. But so many people out there didn't know what they were doing when they started, right? You have to start, and then
yeah.
you will get better the more, even if it doesn't work out, you'll still learn so much that you can apply this to the next thing. So I think, yeah, just trying to get your first customers and see how it goes is the best way to learn, for sure.
Putting it out there, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
overbuild. Don't
yeah,
spend too much time of building. Like, just talk to people, put it out there, sell
yeah,
it, put a price on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Really
exactly.
good tips. I agree with you. Do you um do you think in the beginning it's better to focus more doing like outbound or inbound? Like reaching out to people, cold message, cold email, cold calling on network, or creating content on LinkedIn, on
Mhm.
YouTube. SEO takes some time, as you said, can take months. So I would say even more like maybe running ads, something like
Mm.
that. What would you say is your favorite preferred way?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what your product is. If it's a B2C, B2B, I've had other projects and other side projects in the past where it's been a much more, okay, I need to ring someone and I need to talk to the decision makers. So I'll do cold calling, like, and that is the only way that works, because running ads will just burn money. You need to get in front of someone and talk to them and say, hey, I've got this thing. Do you want to try it out? I'll offer it to you for free, or you can do a trial. And I really think, like, for ScrapeOps, the current business, I think inbound SEO is perfect for it. But it completely depends. If you're selling to banks, it'll be really like in-person meetings and a lot more, like,
Yeah.
getting your name out there. If you're selling to customers, who are buying whatever, like, if it's an e-commerce style thing, maybe TikTok or Instagram. So I think it really depends on what you're trying to sell, and then where are your users living,
Mm.
and how do you get in front of them, and do they need, like, a personal touch? Do they need to hear you, to talk to you in person? That also really matters. Yeah, so I'd say there's no easy answer, and it depends what you're trying to sell and what your business is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. What would you do? One thing that you would do differently, like one thing that you wouldn't do again, like that you would do, okay, I wouldn't do it like this.
Mm.
I would do differently.
Two things. I think, one,
Two things.
launch faster every time. Anytime I've done something, launch faster and get the product in front of someone it's you only realize it later, but you waste so much time thinking my thing needs this one extra feature, and we're still doing it. Like I still feel even now we don't. It's very easy, especially for developers and technical people, to just think I need one more feature and then the customer will love it and
Yeah.
then they will pay us. Whereas
Yeah.
like that can go on forever and it can be a constant thing of you're just afraid of the judgment of what they'll say. You're questioning yourself. So I think just you need to release something as soon as possible, and then the more you can iterate on this, the better. And the quicker, even if someone says no, it's okay, just try something else, and you'll find what people want and what people are looking for. So that would be number one, and number two would
Oh.
be uh fire well, hiring and firing faster, I think.
Mm.
um there's definitely been times we've hired one or two guys at the start, and because we didn't know what we were doing, we were kind of, you're trying to do all these different things, and we let our first two guys go. Like they were there with us for, like, I think both of them for over a year, maybe a year and a half. But yeah, ultimately I would have let both of them go a lot sooner and hired again, um, for a better fit. Like I think it's very hard to do also. Like once you take someone on, you're emotionally invested as well. It's costing you money and you tie all these other emotions into the person. But I think for them and for you and for the company, it can just be better. Like come in, we'll try you for a month. If it's not working, like goodbye. And like that's, I think, would definitely is a good lesson as well, but easier said than
Okay.
done.
Good
Yeah.
lessons. I like it. Yeah. Um, you mentioned when we spoke about Bootstrap versus VC,
Mm,
something about, okay, suppose that you sell the company because you don't have VC, you have all the equities. Um, did did you were you ever offered something like did someone ever offer to buy you out? If so, did you consider it? Are you considering it for the future? How do you see that?
mhm.
Like is an exit something interesting for you, or is this something that you say, okay, this is I'll just keep working on this and it works for me?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it was very interesting. In our first 2 years, I think we had two or three offers of acquisition, but
Oh wow.
we were always we were really small. I think the first one, we were making like I don't know, like we were at like 30 or 40, 50K ARR. Like we were so small. So we were like, why would we get acquired now? And like what they're going to pay max like 400K, 300K, like we did already all this work. We don't want to sell for this like low valuation. I think that was like when we were at the high point of our marketing, because we were kind of everywhere. The SEO was working really well. That's where we started to get a lot of, yeah, like I think at least three offers of people saying, oh, hey, would you guys be open to an acquisition? We see your stuff. We love what you're doing. Um, and so then we were like, okay, I think ultimately we do want a buyout at some stage, but I think we both would like it for it to be at an amount of money where, yeah, we it's,
Life
over
changing.
two. Exactly, life
Life
changing.
changing
Like if
money.
it's just for like a couple of 100K, and like, yeah, that's nice. You get a few years of runway and stuff, but like ideally it would be like for a few million
Yeah.
each. And that's the thing, when you're two people,
Yeah, it's
you
split.
split it in half, and then you've got
Taxes.
taxes, and exactly. So I think,
um,
yeah, I think it would be maybe in 2 or 3 years. And we're at this point as well where even if we sell now, like ARR ideally would be like 3 to 5x bigger than
yeah.
now. So it's really like that's a challenge over the next like two years. Can we like 3x, 5x, 10x revenue, customers, whatever, to get to that point where selling makes sense. Right now it's still really nice. And we both said like, it's like, hey, we've got a really good like lifestyle business now. It would be really nice.
Mm,
But like I'm making more than if I was in a job. So that's already good.
yeah.
But the
Yeah.
next thing is like, yeah, can we, it comes with downsides. Like when you are your own boss, you tend to work too much, not
Yeah.
take enough holidays. So there's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm paid more, but then I've all extra stress. I have people's salaries to worry about. I've got like all these other things in my head. So I think, yeah, ultimately we'd love an exit, but probably in 2 or 3 years at this stage. Yeah.
Okay. Suppose you exited now.
Mm.
Someone came and bought you today. Because I know you, I know that you wouldn't retire. You would
Mm.
start something new. Um, would you? And this is the last time that I will touch this VC and Bootstrap. Would you start? Would you rather start something bootstrapped again, or
Mm.
would you say, okay, now I want to do it differently and take the VC route?
I think it would depend. I mean, I have a list with like 200 ideas of things I want to do. I think, yeah, definitely I would straight away work on something. I think it would depend. I think it would be bootstrapped until a point where if it's something where it has the possibility it, if we find product market fit, we have, I don't know, like a few K a month of revenue, and we can see, okay, we want to scale to 100 million a year over the next 5 years. Then
Hmm.
I would say, yeah, we need VC funding. But if it's something which like, mm, yeah, I only see maybe it's going to be something like max like 10 million a year or something down, I would prefer to bootstrap. So it would
Hmm.
really be like, okay, if it's going to be something where we're going to have hundreds of millions of customers, potential customers, or it's B2B and there's like, potential $1 billion market of revenue, then it's like, okay, VC. But if it really would depend on, yeah, what the business is and then what the vision is. If the vision is really something at a grand scale, I think, yeah, but I would also really want to be at a point where I know there's product market fit. I don't want to waste a VC's time. I want to just say,
Yeah.
hey, look, we've got this. We're at 1%. We want to go to 100.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us the money for this, or else we go somewhere else and get the money? But like that would be, yeah, would be where we want to be.
All right. All right. Well, time passed so fast. Well, we are
Yes.
almost at 1 hour. There is something that I think it's really interesting. We talked about this some time ago, and I think if there is someone who's watching this and who wants to start somehow and doesn't want to quit his or her job, you also have some interesting side projects, right? You have, I
Hmm.
think, two
Hmm.
side projects,
Yep.
which they are doing like well on their own. Like they're not
Yep.
doing as much as your main business, but they give you already like almost a livable salary or a
Hmm.
livable
Hmm.
salary depending on where you want to live. So maybe I don't. You don't need to go that much into details, but maybe you can just say how you started like these side
Hmm.
projects and
Hmm.
how you managed to now you spend like very few hours per week on them and
Hmm.
they are still going.
Yeah, so I think the two main ones I have are one is a marketplace site for buying and selling secondhand rowing products. I used to be a rowing coach, and when I was in university, there was this other platform which was from like the 90s, super basic, and they were the main buying and selling platform in the UK and Ireland, and I thought that their product was terrible, and I was like, wow, like this could be, we need to make a new one. So with a friend of mine, yeah, we just coded up a new one in like 2 weeks. And then we did some very guerrilla marketing. We just scraped all the other websites listings every like day, put them on ours. And then the main way we were getting users is then we were like tweeting out like, oh, hey, like we have these new ads on our site. Does someone want to buy this boat or these rowing blades or whatever? And that's how we kind of, we got the listings from copying them from somewhere else, and we got the customers from Twitter, from just, and then that built up the marketplace over a year. And then, yeah, once the name got out there, people just used our product, and then everyone moved over to using our product. And now it kind of runs itself. Yeah, so it's super easy to maintain, but it makes like less than 1,000 a month, but it's still there, making a couple of hundred. And yeah, so that was one. And the nice thing is it's a marketplace, so you have a really strong moat. It's really hard to start a marketplace. I don't think I would do it again. unless I had a very specific way of like, okay, this is how I'm going to get the buyers and the sellers. It's super hard, but then it's super defensible, and that was
Hmm.
great. And then the other product is a platform for sports clubs to manage their money, their subscriptions, their memberships, and to take fill out membership forms and things like that. So any sports, small sports clubs, or any clubs, even just it doesn't have to be sports, but you know, you have to manage members and all their details. You have to often ask them for money and for certain events and sell them tickets and things like this. So um yeah, that also came from a need. Like I was involved in my local rowing club as well, and they were like, "Oh, like, can we implement? Like, can you just find a system that does this?" And then I looked, and I couldn't find an exact system that really did a lot of what they wanted. So then I was like, "Okay, I'll just build it." And like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I had like a super basic version. And then like a month after that, they were using it. And then I was like, oh, I should like go to the next club, like down the street, and just like ask, will they want to try it? And I just went and actually I think I phoned the guy, like one of the guys in at the next club, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm starting this thing. Do you guys want to try it out?" And he was like, "Yeah, why not? We're not using anything. Like, it sounds if it works, it would be really good." And then so then I just cold called some other places, and yeah, that's how I got my first customers there. And that was a lot harder for again, it was like much more B2B. You have to like who find out who makes the decisions. They often have a
Yeah.
committee. So like
Yeah.
one person doesn't make all the decisions. They have to then like you have to sometimes I had to go and pitch it sometimes in front of like
Mm.
10 people. So like the sales cycle, I ended up like not really going following that route because the sales cycle sucked and I don't like selling. Um so it was much harder. But then also the good thing is really high moat. Once people are using that and it's been using for a few years, they don't want to change.
No
They
churn.
no churn. So far, zero churn. And yeah, so that makes another couple of hundred. But yeah, so they were just and again, like I didn't I worked on those while I was either in university or had a full-time job. And my thing was even when I came to Berlin, I was actually trying to still develop this club software and trying to get new customers. It was quite hard to do that while I was in Berlin at the start when I was freelancing still. So, um, but yeah, I think especially now, like anyone can start a side project. Like it's so easy now. Like yeah, I think people just need to try and like even if it doesn't work out, like I learned so much from those two businesses that like carry on to the next one, carry on. So like
Hmm.
I think yeah, you just need to yeah, even if it doesn't really work out, you can still learn how to make some money and learn what not to do, what to do, and yeah, it's gonna be good regardless. So yeah,
All right. All right. Good advice. All right, Joe. It was a pleasure having you here. This is my first recorded conversation for my podcast. I really liked your advice on what you wouldn't do again, and yeah, it's. I think scraping is gonna become more and more important. So your company's name is ScrapeOps, right?
yep, yep.
ScrapeOps.
ScrapeOps.io.
Yeah, so whoever needs data
Yeah,
scraping, you can connect to Joe. Joe can give you some really good, let's say, benefits for using it. And yeah, uh,
yeah,
hopefully we'll talk again at some other time.
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, and
Thanks again, Gibran.
see you on the running club on Saturday.
Yes, yes, yes. See you then.
Cheers, Joe.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.